You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 24. And I'm so excited to just be talking to you today, as I am. I feel like the past few episodes have been wonderful to have so many different guests on. But, you know, the whole reason I started this podcast was to share my journey and my experiences. And I felt like I needed to do that today. So, yeah, thank you for being here and listening. And it's so funny because I think when I plan the episodes out, I kind of don't really overly plan. And I think that's a really beautiful part of feminine energy that I'm embracing now, because a lot of my life I spent, like I said, in my masculine. So that's like all about strategy and control and over planning. Whereas the podcast for me has felt very natural and very, like I said, feminine energy. So even today, when I knew I had to record the episode, I was thinking about what should I record? And actually this was last night. And then funny enough, as the day progressed, I had a conversation with a friend, and it just inspired this conversation that I feel like a lot of people want to know about. So here we are. So I'm going to speak about manifestation. And for me, I kind of talk about it as a ladder, and I'll explain as we go on. But obviously the core for me of manifestation is the fact that it is based on high and deep self-worth. And I think that is the core of it for me, that it is the byproduct. Manifestation is the byproduct of having that deep self-worth. Now, a lot of I guess external influences like social media and influencers talk about think positive and get positive outcomes, which, you know, is right. I'm not dissing that at all, but it's very hard to jump from feeling less than, feeling stuck, feeling, you know, in a traumatic situation, to just feeling good, right? It's so hard to do that. I understand, because I've, you know, equally been in that space myself. And, you know, if you're going for a really hard time and someone's like, just think positive, you're like, are you mad? Are you actually okay? Like, that just doesn't happen, because our brains aren't wired that way. And in fairness, you know, you can work on that, and it does happen. But equally, when you're in the eye of the storm of, like, you know, the madness going around you and the chaos, it's very hard to see what the other, you know, the end result will be. And that's why we talk about, you know, taking it a step at a time. And that's really where this kind of ladder analogy came from. And it just kind of flowed out of my mouth. And I felt like I need to share this because I think more people would like to know. So I guess for me, as I said, obviously the byproduct of manifestation is having that deep self-worth. Now, if you don't know what manifestation is, it's essentially willing what you want into existence. It's you know, you are the energetic match for the things that you want. So it could be that you desire to have a new job, or go on a holiday, or a new handbag or shoes, or, you know, go get invited to a certain event, you know, like whatever it is, it can be big or small. Now, a lot of books like The Secret, for example, talks about, you know, first starting with something small like a free coffee or a parking space. And that worked wonders for me. And that is something that you can do on kind of any vibration. So, you know, when you're in a sad state or angry state, we're at our lowest possible point of you know, how we feel. So we're yeah, at a low vibrational frequency. So when you're in that space, you can still manifest those things. Now, what I will say is the outcome of what I'm going to speak about is that no matter how you feel, you can still manifest anything. But that is because it comes from that core of the deep self-worth. Now, when I was speaking to my friend, she's just been through a breakup, and she was saying that, there's a lot of things going on in her life that have, she's become aware of, her personality and situations on how she deals with things, navigating conflict, how she navigates her life. She's become very self-aware in this space, which is wonderful, because that is a beautiful breeding ground for lots of amazing things to happen. And I would say, more than anything, to start off with, if you want to manifest and you want to become a master manifester, so to speak, is that you have to be self-aware first. Because if you're not aware on how you feel and why you feel that way, it's going to become very difficult to change your thoughts and emotions. So, for example, when I say that, I mean, if you know that you don't like getting up early in the morning and it puts you in a bad mood, then you can cater your day to make it easier for you to navigate that. You can ask for your calls to be a bit lazy. You can meet up with people later on in the day. There's little things that you can do. Now, that's probably a very basic example of it, but equally down to, if when people talk about weight, it triggers you, that is something that you now are aware of. So that shines a light on you. Is it your weight you're insecure about? Is it the fact that you've had body weight insecurities for a long time, and people bringing that up makes you feel uncomfortable? This is all self-awareness. And then in that space, that's the first step. The second step would be, what do you do with that information? The fact that you now know that that's a trigger for you. Do you work through it? Do you have a conversation with your friends and say, I'd really like to not talk about this right now? Or do you go to therapy? Or do you start asking yourself why you feel that way? These are all these steps that we can go on and on and on. So manifestation is really tied into so much, and obviously all of my work is connected to the self-awareness, our limiting beliefs, our insecurities, all of the things that are deep inside of us. And I would say that manifestation is almost like the rainbow, after the storm. And I think that's probably the best way to put it, because all of this ties into each other. It's all corresponding constantly. And I think that's life, right? It ebbs and flows all the time. And when you get to that point where you stop shaming yourself and you stop being critical but aware, that is the really powerful point to be in. So I think I've gone a long way about explaining that, but essentially that is really what I'm trying to say, is that when you are aware of yourself, you value yourself and you believe in yourself and you feel worthy and deserving, that's when you can manifest like click of a finger. And that does take time to build. So here we go back to this ladder. So for example, you're at the bottom of the ladder right now, or you could be any point of the ladder, let's say, for example. Now, the top of the ladder is you feeling your very best self, you having the thing you want and being in complete alignment and all of those things of that vibration of the life of your dreams, for example. That's that top of the ladder. And it doesn't even have to be that big. As I said, like, let's say that the top of the ladder is the life of your dreams, a goal, you in 5 years time having everything you want. And a couple of steps down from that is like maybe you having nice holidays, you having a pay rise, you get a job promotion, all of these things are on this place. And they don't have to be in like a going down a ladder. It could be on an equal platform at the top, but essentially that's where you want to get to, right? But life ebbs and flows. So what I will say is that you could definitely get there vibrationally, and then you'll see there's another ladder in front of you. So we're always on a journey, right? And some days we'll be at the top of the ladder, some days we'll be in the middle, it goes on and on. When I'm talking about it, I mean that if you are right now coming out of a situation that's felt hard, a breakup, something traumatic like a death of a loved one, just a hard situation, navigating all of those things that feel difficult. If you just feel stuck just in general because everything hasn't been going your way, it seems impossible to just think positive and jump your way to the top of the ladder. That's unrealistic and unsustainable. And that really is where my unsugar-coated manifestation comes in, because it's unrealistic. You just can't do that. It's just, it's fake, and you can't lie to the universe. Okay, now there is a thing that says fake it till you make it, and I believe in that. I believe in, if you constantly surround yourself with the good vibes, the amazing things that you want, inevitably you'll become a vibrational match to it. So that is something different though than just trying to trick yourself, because ultimately the you that's deep in the core of your being will be like, why are you lying for? And then you might start a self-sabotaging cycle based on the fact that you're trying to trick yourself and the universe. And I'm laughing because I've been there, okay? I've been there, and that's why I'm saying it to you, because I know. So this ladder is basically steps up to how you can love yourself, appreciate yourself, and value yourself more. So as I was saying earlier, you know, for me, self-love is self-acceptance plus self-respect. That is all self-love is. I say all, that's a massive thing, right? But it's deep. So it's not just, yeah, do a couple of face masks and have a bath once a week. It's like, no, it's actually respecting yourself fully and appreciating yourself and accepting yourself as you are. And that takes a lot of work. And obviously I am here 100% of this time for you. So if you're feeling like I don't do that at all, you know, like, I have options open where you can work with me, and I can definitely take you through this. But just to give you an overview of this situation, it's like, when you respect yourself, that means that you have amazing boundaries. It means that you don't get walked all over. You're not putting yourself last. You aren't accepting less than what you deserve. And you're not resentful for going out of your way and being treated like a doormat, for example. The self-acceptance part is not looking at yourself in the mirror and criticizing yourself. Now, I say looking at yourself in the mirror, that could be figuratively and also literally, because a lot of us, especially as women, we will look at ourselves and pinpoint the things that we don't like about ourselves, and we'll be critical about it. For example, you know, especially when it comes to our cycle, if we're bloated that week, we'll pull ourselves apart for it, you know, and all of these things. And that's so ingrained into us from society that it takes a lot of work to undo all of that, and to actually look at yourself in the mirror and feel beautiful regardless. That takes a lot of work, and it's taken me such a long time to get there. But it's just reminding myself that I am human. My body changes monthly, weekly, cyclically, you know, and accepting that this is me, and I'm not a filter. I'm not this perfect version of me that I can make on social media. And that's why, you know, I'm sharing all this and doing all this stuff, because I want to make more women aware and people aware that we are human and you don't need to be perfect. And I think that's a massive blow for a lot of people, the word perfect. You know, I speak about this a lot with my guests, that perfectionism. And that's what the self-acceptance is taking the perfectionism out of it and accepting yourself for whatever and however you are. It's like knowing that, you know, an example I used with my friend was that, you know, you can do a task, it might not go right. And instead of you shaming yourself and saying, I'm rubbish, it's me, it's my fault, it's actually going, that was a real shame that didn't work out. You know, I did the best I could. That's it, move on. And how much brain space you have free, because you're not then going into a spiral of, I should have done this better, I should have done that. Now, don't get me wrong, there are situations and circumstances where you do evaluate the situation like, okay, that was my fault. I had a team that were, you know, looking for my support, and I didn't show up as well as I could have. So what can I do next time to do better? That's not, again, shaming, that's being aware. And this is the difference, you know, like my friend was saying that she's self-aware. And I said, but there's a fine line between being self-aware and self-critical. Because when you're pulling yourself apart and you're not celebrating yourself as well as that, that is the difference. Because that's, I guess, life, you know, like we're not perfect at anything, as I've said over and over again. But equally, if you're constantly pointing out your flaws and not your successes, you're just shaming yourself, or you're being critical. And then that's, you know, I always say that if you wouldn't say it to your friend, why are you saying it to yourself? And actually, if you are talking to your friends like that, they need to get new friends, because you shouldn't be a friend of someone like that, you know. And I think this is a problem in the situation. We attract who we are. So if you are in that cycle of you're constantly critical on yourself, then I've got no doubt that you're probably surrounded by critical people, because that's how you're surrounded and living your life. But the minute you start to change that, the whole world around you changes. And I speak about that all the time, because I'm a byproduct of it, and I see that, and I know it, and I feel that with every part of me. So the self-respect part is obviously your boundaries, how you feel about you, you know, putting yourself first. That's a massive part of life, you know. Like, we, again, as women, are so I guess, conditioned to not do that, you know. And it's hard because how can you give from an empty cup? And I say it over and over again because I mean it. Now this is like a woman wound, you know. We all have this wound, and it takes time to build. And it's just, you know, every time you say no to something that you want to say no to, you give yourself a bit more respect, you give yourself a bit more self-love, and it feels amazing to do it. You know, you're not thinking about how you're going to affect the other person. You're actually thinking about, how do I fit in this? You know, if I've got to leave an hour earlier to get somewhere and I've been working all day, can I do it? No, it's too much effort for me. So you're going to turn up to whatever that is at the time that you agreed to, not an hour earlier, and you're going to feel great about it. You're going to walk in there and be like, yes. Whereas if you got there an hour earlier because you were people pleasing, you'd feel stressed, you'd feel rushed, you'd feel all over the place and discombobulated because you hadn't had that time to restore you, recharge your battery. And this is all kind of tying in. So I hope that this is making sense and I'm not going off on a tangent here, because I kind of am, but it's within the same frame, right? This is the self-respect and the self-acceptance elements. Because when the base of who you are is self-worth, is, you know, has that self-love, has that self-acceptance, that self-respect. And now, you know, the self-love part, I said, is the byproduct of the self-acceptance and self-respect. So it's not the fluffy part, it's the deep-rooted, real core part. You then know that you are deserving of everything you want and more, because you respect yourself and you accept yourself. So you know exactly as you are so much more than enough, so worthy of everything that you want, that the universe has no choice but to give you that. So it's so much more than just thinking positive, it's being. And that's what manifestation is, because when you have to do something, like I said at the beginning, that's masculine energy. When you be it, when you are it at your core, that's the feminine energy, and that's the space the universe loves. The universe doesn't want you to be anything more than exactly who you are, and to accept yourself from it. Because in that space of that soil, you know, I love an analogy, that soil of that real solid ground of self-trust, self-acceptance, self-respect, that is the perfect breeding ground for all of your manifestations to bloom. Because the universe is like, cool, okay, today's a bad day for her, she's not really in a great mood, but equally she deserves it, she knows she does, so we'll give it to her anyway. I can't tell you, like, this year how I've obviously, you know, started my business, and there's been lots of like emotional things that I've had to go through myself with, you know, all of the things I'm teaching you, I am practicing myself every single day. You know, I am so integrity led that I would never tell you or teach you anything that I've not done over and over again. And this year I've had some really hard moments, but I've been rewarded so fully from the universe, like free holidays, free brunches, days out, nights out, hotel stays. Like, that's all come to me because I knew that even though I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not at that shiny level of the manifestation of my life as a whole, I know along this ladder that I am worthy and deserving of it. So I'm not at the bottom of my ladder at any point. I'm never at the bottom of the ladder. And actually, you know, some days my self-worth might drop because I've had a blow. And actually, that's very rare now, because I would say, you know, all of our ladders are different and we all sit in different spaces and there's not a competition at all. But I would say that my lowest point now is nowhere near as the lowest point it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm in a completely different arena to where I was 10 years ago, you know. So for me, I'm in this beautiful space of just accepting myself so much. You know, my boundaries get stronger every time something happens. And ultimately, the universe knows that I'm putting myself first because I am worthy and deserving of the life that I want to create. And ultimately, my goals and dreams and ambitions are to help people. And I think the universe knows that, you know, and that's why I do get rewarded so beautifully, because the universe knows that I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for everyone. I'm doing this for the generations to come after me, and, like, you know, the beautiful world that I want to create for our children and our children's children. So I feel like that's it. But equally, if you don't want a massive audacious goal like that, as long as it's in integrity and an alignment with, you know, who you are at your core, that's when it all comes in. So I guess really and truly what I'm saying is, you can think your way positively into a situation, into manifestation, into your dreams and desires. You can do that, but it's unsustainable to be positive all the time. So the days that you don't feel great, you're going to then value or weigh out your actual processes of manifestation. You're not going to feel worthy enough of having it when you're feeling sad, because all you've ever done is tie manifestation into feeling good. So when you feel bad, you don't feel worthy of it, right? But when you do the deep self-work, when you accept yourself, you respect yourself, you value yourself, you love yourself. And again, self-love is just self-acceptance plus self-respect. When you are in that breeding ground and space, it doesn't matter how you feel on the day. It doesn't matter that you're having a sad day or a down day or an angry day, because at your core being, you will feel worthy and deserving. And that is what the universe responds to. So yeah, that is, I guess, the deepest layer of a way of me explaining this in a nutshell, because obviously, with anything I do, there's only so much I can go into as an overview for humanity, right? When you work with me personally, I can tailor make programs to you, and I walk you through all of the triggers and the traumas in your life, and I help you make sense of them. Because I think, that saying knowledge is power, that for me really is key. Like when I could go back through and identify, okay, I get angry when this happens, what happened in my childhood to ignite that? I'm like, wow, okay, that makes so much sense. And I'm not going to lie to you, as I've said the whole way through, I am human. I still get angry. I'll still, shout at someone in the car when I'm driving, because I'm not a martyr or a saint. I'm a human being, but I'm equally working on myself every single day and being the best version of myself for me. And equally, when I am in that space of being on my highest vibration, the whole world benefits from it, because everyone that sees me is like, oh, you're in a good mood, or it's nice to see you feeling happy, blah, blah, blah. And we're all in that space because, as I spoke about on when we came back from the summer break, I'd had a really hard summer, and so many people would notice that my vibration was off because I was in an integration process. I was in that cocoon of like working on myself again, and like, realigning my boundaries and realigning how I would see myself and where I was going. It's all of that integration process. And when you're in that cocoon, your vibration is different. You're introverted, you're inside yourself. Now I feel like finally my wings have like broken free, and I can finally be like, oh, okay, like now I can just fly and flourish and be aligned again to who I know myself to be at my deepest core. And yeah, that high vibration version of myself that does get quick manifestations and that is inspiring others through living through her truth. And that's all I've ever wanted. So I'm always really grateful for for everyone's support and everyone listening, because this really has just been, I'm just telling my life story in the hopes it helps other people. And lo and behold, it is. And maybe that's me living my manifestation, and I think it probably is, to be honest. So yeah, I hope that whatever your dreams are and whatever your goals are, that from this and even beyond this, that that the only reason that you want them is because a part of you already has it. There's another version of you somewhere in another dimension of this universe that actually lives and exists with the manifestations that you want. You wouldn't want them if they weren't for you. That's what I say. And that's not with people, by the way. That's with the things and the goals and the ambitions, because I think sometimes we get caught up in, we want to manifest a certain person, and you can't manifest people. And I'll just say that on the end of this, because I know a lot of people get caught up in on socials is all like manifest your SP and like all of that, and you can't control other human beings, even down to family members and arguments and situations. All you can ever control is you and your vibration. So if you become a vibrational match to a person that you desire, that's something completely different than willing them into your life. And ultimately, I think we get kind of a bit blindsided with, if we're manifesting love or things like that. If you have a specific person in mind, you get so caught up again in this masculine energy of like wanting and taking actions to have, that you forget that it's not about them, it's about you. And actually the right person will just align with who you are. So that's why it's so important that you are at your core in line with who you are, and respect yourself fully, because that means you're not going to take rubbish. Because if you did want to manifest someone, and you really wanted that person so badly, and actually they came into your life, you might find that they treated you really badly, and you would allow your boundaries to slip because you wanted that person so badly. Whereas if you let go of that concept of a specific person, but think about how you'd like to be treated, you're more likely to manifest in someone that treats you the way that you deserve to be treated, because you're already treating yourself that way. So I hope that clears anything up for anyone that is thinking about manifesting love. It's, you definitely need to be that. I watched something the other day, I think it was Steve Harvey, and it was, someone was on there, and it was like, the lady was saying that she wanted to she's ready to be a wife, and he was like, then be a wife. And I know that may sound very far-fetched, but if you're acting from a place of wanting all the time, again, you're putting out that wanting energy. Whereas if you're in that space of being like, I am good enough, I can nurture someone, I can look after someone, I can cook and clean if I want to. I might not want to. I might want them to cook and clean for me. Okay. Like, it's like that space of being like, no, I'm ready. I'm the wife, and husband or whatever it is, whoever you prefer to be. It's that space of knowing that, yeah, that's me. I'm there. I don't need to look for that. I need to go out for that. I am it. So ultimately, for me, as always, manifestation is a byproduct of high and deep self-worth. Self-acceptance plus self-respect equals self-love. And I wish you all of your manifestations and more, because you are worthy and deserving of them. As I said, you wouldn't want them if they weren't for you. And if you do want additional help and support with all of this stuff, reach out. I'm here always to help you, because we get one life, we get one go around this globe that's floating, this rock in the sky, in the universe, just floating around. So I just feel like you deserve to have the life that you want to live. And yes, everything takes dedication and consistency, but you're worth it. You're worth living a beautiful, wonderful life, and to not be stuck, to not feel held back. You can have everything and anything that you want if you believe it. So yeah, lots of love and light, everyone, and I'll see you next time.